Hey, what's good, y'all? It's your boy, Conscious Coon Killer, killing the coon within me and the coon within you. Now, y'all know I'll be just throwing out these videos, kind of random and stuff like that. But I just had seen the movie Queen and Slim yesterday. It's Monday morning right now. Um, saw it last night. Overall, I thought it was cool. I know a lot of people has been kind of divisive on that film. Some people's saying the movie was horrible. Some people said it was cool. Some people didn't like the ending. Some people were cool with that stuff. So I just went into. I'm like, okay, let me, let me see what they got. I know the main woman that wrote the movie. I believe it was Lena Waithe or Leah Waithe, whatever the one. Gay black woman that's on was it Master of None, and she does the Shy and all that type of stuff. So I'm like, okay, let me see what she's got going on, right? So the movie starts, and spoiler alert too. I'm gonna just kind of just go over the highlights of the film, but spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, I'll put that in the title. But yeah, so it starts off pretty interesting because the whole premise is this black man, this black woman, they're on a date together. It's like this Tinder date, first date, and it's kind of awkward at first. You could tell that the black woman, she wasn't really feeling them like that. I forget the characters' names, and they actually never called them Queen or Slim in the movie, but I'm gonna just call them that because I actually kind of forgot what the characters' names were in the movie. So Queen, you could tell she's not really fully feeling him, and Slim, he's kind of like this religious dude, so he's praying uh, before he eats at the diner that they're at and stuff like that. She's kind of looking at him like, what the fuck? And you could tell something's bothering her. And at first, I thought they were about to do the whole, black woman with a bad attitude stereotype. So I'm like, oh shit, here we go already. It's the very beginning of the movie. She's talking to him like, oh, didn't you order scrambled eggs? And he's like, yeah. He's like, oh, that's over easy. He's like, oh well, it's not a big deal. She's like, well, I can't stand stuff like that. I hate when people can't do their job and blah blah blah. And he's defend the waitress. He's like, yeah, she's got a lot on her plate. She's a single mother. Whoop de whoop. I try to help her out through my Christian program or whatever the hell. And she's just kind of like, oh, da da da. And as they get to talking, you kind of understand why she was upset. She's a lawyer, and her client got murdered or something like that. So she was just kind of upset, and she just wanted to be with somebody that night. She said that she normally likes to kind of be by herself, but she's like, oh, I just didn't want to eat alone, yada yada. So you're like, okay, at least we're kind of giving her some kind of depth, not just making her this blanket, angry black woman for no reason, stereotype. So I'm like, okay. So they finish up their date. They're driving back. He's taking her home and stuff like that, and then they get pulled over because she takes his phone from him, and she's looking through his phone. He's like, hey, okay, stop, look through my stuff, and he snatches his phone back. He kind of swerves a little bit, and he didn't put his turn signal on, his blinkers or whatever like that. So gets pulled over. White cops talking to him, tells him like, yeah, I pulled you over because you were swerving and you didn't put your blinker on, like, you might be drunk or something like this. Excuse me, I was drinking some water. But yeah. So then Queen, she's like kind of talking to him because she knows the laws. She's a lawyer and stuff, so she's kind of questioning him and everything like this, and they're kind of going back and forth for a second. Then dude, the cop goes to his car to run his information or whatever like that, and his shit's clean. So you're thinking, okay, well, that should be it, right? But we know how these cops are. So he comes back, he's like, oh, get out the car, I'm gonna search you, and da da da. So he's patting him down, all this type of shit, and he's like, oh, is there anything in the car that's illegal or anything like this? And he's like, nah. And I remember when the cop went back to his car to run his stuff, she asked him like, "Oh, do you have like a weapon or anything like that?" And he's like, "Oh, I got a knife, but that's within my rights. That's legal, all that type of stuff." I'm thinking like maybe the cop was gonna find that and try to use that excuse to try to attack him or something like this. Excuse me. The weather changing. So cop's like, "Okay, I want to check your trunk." So he's like, "Ain't nothing back there but some shoes." So I mean, fuck it, like, I ain't got nothing to hide. So he's back there searching his car, and then she rolls down the window. She's honking like, "Yo, are you done? Like, what are you doing? Like, do you have a search warrant?" He's like, "Oh, the cop's like, oh, well, he already gave me permission, whoop whoop whoop, so I don't need one." Searches through all of his stuff, and doesn't find nothing. And he's like, hey, the Slim is like, hey man, can you hurry up? It's cold out here. Da da da. And then next thing you know, dude starts turning up on him, like, oh, don't be talking back to me, blah blah blah. Like, get on the ground. She's like, are you serious? Like, like what the fuck? Like, I ain't did nothing. So he, kind of gets down, has his hands up and shit. Then Queen gets out of the car and is like, hey, I'm about to record this. This is within my rights. So then the cop shoots her in the leg. I was like, oh shit. I'm thinking it was just gonna be, the black man getting fucked up or something like this. So she gets shot in the leg. So then the black man, Slim, he gets up. He's like, fuck it. So he tackles the cop. They start fighting. And I'm like, oh shit, here we go. So he's, Slim's, he's scrambling, trying to get to the gun, and the cop's trying to pull him away. Eventually, he breaks away for a second, grabs the gun, turns around, boot, shoots his ass right in the chest, right in the heart, kills him. I'm like, oh shit. So just off the back, so I thought it was gonna be a little bit before something happened. Maybe they would go on a second date or something, even though you could tell the girl wasn't really feeling him like that. I'm thinking, something like this. I'm like, damn, this is like all the very beginning of the movie. So Queen's like, yo, we gotta go. Like, fuck that shit. Like, we gotta get the fuck up out of here. I believe they were in Ohio. So she's like, look, I got an uncle that lives was either in Georgia or Louisiana. They go to a few different places, but down south, right? So we gotta just keep going. So he's just like, oh fuck, blah blah blah. So they get to drive, and they're driving for whatever how long. They run out of gas. Dude was like, damn, I wasn't really paying attention. So now they're like, well, shit, we got to just try to pull the car off to the side of the road and try to hitchhike and try to get a ride from somebody. Hopefully they don't recognize us. We know this shit's obviously going to be in the news. Woo-de-woo. So truck comes by. Say they're down south somewhere. Dude stops and, they're like, hey, we need some help. We just ran out of gas and, we just need to get to the nearest gas station. And dude was like, yeah, no problem. Come on in, First they're kind of like, oh, shit, we don't know. We don't really know him like that. But they go. And they find out that the guy that picks him up is a sheriff. He's a off-duty cop. So they're like, oh fuck, So they get to the gas station, and Queen and Slim, they're still sitting in the truck. He goes to inside the store to get some gas for him, because they were like, yo, we left our money in our car. He said, don't worry about it. I got you. And at first they're thinking like, damn, we should just roll out of here, because he's probably gonna find out what we did. So dude turns his radio on, and sure enough, they're talking about, oh, it's African American male, African American female. They killed a cop, blah blah blah. They were in a white Honda, whatever his car was, stuff like that. So he starts putting two and two together, and he's still in the store, but he's looking back at them in the truck, staring at him. And then it cuts to Queen and Slim, and Slim's like, yo, why is he staring at us? He probably knows. So like shit, Queen's like, yo, just get into the driver's seat. let's just dip. So he gets to the driver's seat. The off-duty sheriff comes back, and he's like, hey, y'all about to leave without me? Like, I'll get y'all some gas. So then she pulls the gun out, because they took the cop's gun too. So she pulls the gun out and like, yo, just get in the car. And he's like, look, I want to help y'all. Like, I'm sure there was a reason why y'all did what you did. She's like, just get in the fucking car. So they get to driving. They drive back to their vehicle, and she makes them get into the trunk. It just just leaves them in the trunk. Dude's like, hey, look, I got a family. Like my wife's dead. Like I got a son. Like I'm always God, but we on the do list. But they didn't trust him, so she locks him in the trunk of their car, and they steal his shit, right? So they get to driving, we run out of gas again. Or I'm sorry, they end up going to get some food. I can't remember if this was before or after they ran out of gas again. Whatever. So they go to this chicken place. They wanted some chicken sandwiches. I'm like, damn, there's some Popeye chicken type of shit going on right now. But of course they didn't want to go into the restaurant, because they're like, shit, our names and their faces and everything is everywhere, because there was a camera in the cop car, so the video footage is out on the internet and on news, everything like that, of them shooting this cop and everything like this. So like, damn, we can't be just out here like that, but we ain't eating like a whole day or whatever. So there's some kids who are outside of the restaurant skateboard, and then they call this one like kind of chubby kid to come over, like, hey, can you buy us some chicken sandwiches, whoop de whoop. So he goes and does it. So they're just sitting in the truck eating. I'm thinking like, yo, why don't they keep moving? They got the food, they can just eat and drive. So I'm like, what the fuck? I'm like, okay. I'm like, all right. So eventually they're like, yo, we need to get the fuck out of here. Cause the little boy was like, hey, like, y'all, are y'all, this y'all, like, you were showing a YouTube video of Slim shooting the cop and everything like this, and Queen getting shot by the cop, woo woo. And they're like, nah, man, that ain't us. Like, hey, my dad wants to talk to y'all, like, you know. And like, no, we gotta go. So dude just floors it, but he wasn't really looking. Ends up hitting the chubby kid's dad, right? I'm like, yo, what the fuck? So he's like, oh shit, my bad knee, blah blah blah. And I remember a lot of black folks were saying that there was a lot of black stereotypes in this movie. So the dad starts talking about, oh, like, I forget, the little boy says something about his mom. He's just like, man, fuck that bitch. And he's like, don't call my mama a bitch. He's like, shut up. He's like, shut the fuck up, you little nigga. Like, da da da. Like, your mom ain't the only bitch I got, little nigga. Like, maybe I ain't talking about her. I'm like, oh lord. I'm like, okay. So it's just like, please just drop me off at the hospital. Like, we can't go to no hospital. They're kind of already making forward. So eventually, they let the kid and the dad in. They drive to the hospital, and the dad's like, "Hey, I'm down with what y'all did. You know, killing that cop, like blah blah blah, like fuck these pigs, type of shit." And asking them if they're the new Black Panthers or some shit like that. I'm like, okay. So drops them off. They go in, and they keep moving. Then they run out of gas. Like I said, that I might have got that part out of order. I don't remember exactly, but anyway. So they run out of gas again, and then the sheriff's truck still. And Slim's like, damn, we're getting low on gas. She's like, yo, you need to pay attention to that shit, right? So Slim goes into the store because they didn't have a lot of money. They spent all their money getting those chicken sandwiches. So she's like, yo, just threaten them. Like, we got the gun, just threaten them with it. So he's like, all right. So he goes in there and he's like, yo, like, you know what this is? He da 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 da. And the dude's like some weird, like, hippie white dude, some little southern, this hippie sounding white boy, right? So he's just like, oh wow, like, that's a nice Glock you got there. Like, can I see it? What the fuck? And dude's like, look, I'm not gonna give you free gas unless you let me see the gun. I'm thinking like, motherfucker, you're pointing a gun at him. What? Like, how is he making terms right now? Just be like, look, man, run that motherfucking gas before I shoot your ass in that run. You know. So Slim gives him the gun. I'm like, what the fuck? So he's playing around with it and shit. And the next thing you know, he starts pointing at Slim, pointing the gun at Slim. And he's like, hey man, you know what the fuck you doing? I'm like, this nigga really gave this white dude this gun. And he probably, like, you know, I'm thinking he probably knows who they are, all this shit. There's newspapers with their face on it and shit like that in the gas station. So dude just standing there for probably a good like 20 seconds, just pointing the gun at him, not saying nothing, looking focused, like he's about to shoot him, right? And he just kept, oh hey man, what what are you doing? What are you doing? So eventually he's like, oh man, I'm just messing with you. I'm just playing around. Gives him the gun back, gives him the free gas, they on their way. I'm like, yo, what the fuck? I'm like, okay. So eventually they get to Louisiana or Georgia, whichever state they were in down south. I can't remember. They go to Queen's uncle's house. I forget the dude's name, but basically he looks like Bizarro Dave Chappelle. That's what I call him. He's a good actor. So this dude is like a pimp, right? He's got all these, like, you know, hoes and shit in his house. Now, something that I being real, I didn't realize this until I was watching some other people's reviews on the movie after I had seen it. I guess one of the hookers in that scene when they were at the uncle's house was a transgender person. The hooker with the big afro. I wasn't really paying attention to the hoes that much. I was mainly paying attention to Queen and Slim because, you know, they're the main characters and they're driving the story forward. I'm like, the hookers are. I'm thinking they're just there for just to be in the background. I'm like, whatever, right? But yeah, one of the hookers was transgender, and one of the reviews I was watching, the person was talking about how, if you notice, that particular hooker was on Bizarro Dave Chappelle the most in like a sexual kind of way. I'm like, and I said I wasn't really paying attention to them like that, but yeah, it was a dude, transgender woman, so it was a man that identifies as a woman, right? So I'm like, wow, that's kind of weird, because dude wasn't coming, Bizarro Dave Chappelle wasn't coming off like he was gay or anything like that, so I wasn't, listen, my mind wasn't even going, I wasn't really paying them much attention, but I'm just kind of like, wow, so, Leah Waithe, however you say her name, she said she's a black lesbian, a black gay woman, uh, I'm like, okay. So they had to. I'm like, all right. So you kind of, effeminizing this black man a little bit. I'm like, okay. So Wooty Woo, the uncle helps them out. Cops show up. They're hiding and shit for a while, and when the cops leave, the uncle's like, yo, y'all gotta get the fuck up out of here. So they drive off to this to this area or whatever. He gives them a bunch of money in one of his vehicles. They say, yo, like I know some people, down in Louisiana or whatever can can help you out. Talk to them, and then you'll be able to talk to this person who can get you on a plane. Once you get to Florida, get you on a plane so y'all can fly to Cuba, because that was his old plan. That was Slim's plan. Like we're just gonna fly to Cuba. So they just had to make their way to Florida and get on this plane, and they're good, right? So they're driving, they stop at this kind of hole in the wall blues. It's like blues joint, this blues club, right? He's like, oh, and Slim's like, oh, would you have gone on a second date with me if if all this wouldn't have happened? And she was like, no, probably not. And they're just sitting in the parking lot just talking, right? And I'm like, man, they need to keep moving, right? And he's like, and she was like, well, wait a minute, what would we have done if we would have had a second date? And he's like, well, no, you already said no. So she's like, well, I changed my mind, excuse me. Wooty woo. He's like, well, we can go dancing. Let's go do it right now. Like, it'll be all right. So they go in there and they're dancing their vibe and stuff like that. It's kind of like an old school, blues spot, right? And she was like, hey, you did say that you were gonna get me a drink. It's like, oh, I want a bourbon, whatever. So he goes up to the bartender. He's like, yeah, can I get a shot of bourbon or whatever? So she runs two glasses, and he's like, oh no, I don't drink. And she's like, oh, you might want to start, son. And he's just like, oh, like that's not, because he's kind of this Christian dude, even though, I mean, anyway. So she gives him two, and he's like, don't worry, this is on the house. He's like, oh, thank you. And when he goes to grab the glasses, she kind of touches his hand and is like, don't worry, you're safe in here. And he's like, okay. Goes back to Queen, and he's like, yo, I think that some people in here recognize us. So she's like, oh shit, like we need to go. He's like, I think that we're good. Like let's just chill for a while. So they stayed for a little while longer. They took their drinks. He drank, and they're dancing for a while, and then eventually like, hey, let's bounce. So then they get to these white couples home that the uncle told them to stay at for a little bit. It's like this southern white family. And first the wife, she was kind of like, nah, I don't know about this. Like they got a whole witch hunt going out for them in the whole country right now. This ain't a good look. And the husband's like, no, like this is what we do. Like it's fine. I got a lot of hiding spots. They ain't gonna find you if the cops do show up. Blah blah blah. Okay. So eventually, of course, they're eating dinner and stuff like that. The cops show up, and he's like, yo, go upstairs, hide underneath the bed, right? I'm thinking like, damn, this is his secret hiding spot, just underneath the bed. Like they're gonna check that. So they bust in. It's a SWAT team. I'm like, okay, yeah, like they're just under the fucking bed. Like yeah, they're probably gonna find them, right? So of course they eventually go upstairs, blah blah blah, and they check underneath the bed, but you don't see them. So I'm like, like maybe because the way the camera was angled, looked like they were under the bed watching the cops' feet and stuff like this, right? But then they look and they ain't there. They pull the mattress and then they could see the floor. It wasn't there. So I'm like, what the fuck? And then all of a sudden you realize they're underneath the floor. It's like a trap, flooring or whatever. So they're like just laid just underneath the floor. So eventually it's like, I don't know, like 12 hours later, some shit, I don't know, hours later. Eventually Queen's like, yo, we need to get up out of here. And he's like, man, like they're probably still around like the house and stuff like that, because they saw the car. That was how they knew that they were there. So he's kind of like, man, like we need to get the fuck up out of here. So eventually the next day, um, they end up dipping because the cops took their car. So they end up taking one of the white uh, couples vehicles, and then there was a white cop and a black cop out in front of their house, basically doing like a stakeout, pretty much, right? The white cop was calling the black cop boy and all this shit, and he was checking him, and he's like, yo, don't call me that shit, blah blah blah. So Oh yeah, I forgot about a part before too. They had some issues with their car. This is before they met the white family or whatever. They had some issues with their car, so they stopped to get that fixed. And the guy that was fixing it, he has a son, and he was like, "Hey son, go take them on a walk while I'm working on the car." So when they was walking and talking, he was like, "Oh, I'm so happy to meet y'all. Like y'all are really inspiring. Like I'm gonna have this whole, protest against the cops later on today. Like it's kind of inspired for me. I wooty woo." So I throw that in there. So anyway, so they get the car started, and oh, when they got out, because they jumped from the 2 story of the house, and when Queen jumped, she fucked her shoulder up. So then Slim jumped, he was all right. So they're in the garage, and he pops her shoulder back into place. This is at the white people's house. So pops her shoulder back into place, and she screamed because she's in pain. So the black cop was like, "Yo, did you hear that? Sounded like somebody was screaming in the backyard." The white cop's like, "Oh, that was probably just a wild animal. You're from the city or whatever." So anyway, he's like, "I'm gonna go check." So he goes to the back. The garage is at, rolls it up, and they're all three of them are just looking at each other. I'm just like, "Oh shit! Like what's about to happen?" So the black cop looks at him and was like, "Hey man, go ahead. I ain't gonna say nothing." So they just roll out and just leave. The cop goes back up front to the white cop. He's like, "Yeah, it was 2 deer that got caught in some branches, and I wouldn't set them free." He's like, "Yeah, so yeah, I told you so." He just kind of laughed it off, or whatever. I'm like, "Okay." I'm like, "All right, cool." At least that cop was on code. So they're driving for a while, and then eventually they stop and they start fucking, right? So I'm like, okay. And I didn't know they could show as much as they showed in that second. Not that they were showing pussy and anything like that, but I was kind of okay. Kind of showing a little bit. I was like, okay. So while they're fucking in the car, right? They keep jumping back and forth between that boy who started that protest, like I was talking about earlier. So they're in the middle of this whole kind of Black Lives Matter protest thing. And the cops are throwing tear gas, all that shit, smokes, gas, all that type of shit at them. And they're cutting back and forth between Queen and Slim fucking in the car, and these black people basically saying fuck the police. So then the boy who was talking to them before was like, "Oh, you guys are inspiration." He pulls a gun out on this black cop, and the cop was just like, "Look, just go home, son." Like he's like, "Oh, well, what if I don't go? I'm gonna kill me?" He's like, "No, I'm not gonna kill you. I'm not gonna shoot you, but I will arrest you if you don't leave right now. Just go home." So this boy ends up shooting the cop. And I'm like, yo, what the fuck? I might got that out of order. I think that scene actually happened first, and then they went to and then they went to the white family's house because the white family was talking about, oh, did you tell that boy to shoot that cop? And they were like, no, but whatever. So I was gonna say I'm probably telling a little bit out of order, but some of the scenes it could have gone in any order. It kind of would have worked. But yeah, they that part happened first, and then they went to the white family and they talked about that boy shooting a cop. But yeah, he kills this black cop who wasn't like he was just like, look, man, just go home, you know. So I'm like, oh Lord, of course they're trying to, make a little correlation because they look like a Black Lives Matter type of thing, you know. What I mean, now not that I'm, 100% in agreement with Black Lives Matter, but still, I'm kind of like, okay, so there was that, and then kept going back and forth between them fucking in this car. So then they leave, whoop whoop, and then that was when they actually got to the white family's house. So that all that shit happened. They leave the white family, and then they make it to the or close to the area that they're supposed to go to get to that airplane. But then they stop to go ride on some fucking horses and shit. Like that was I was like, okay. And I'm like, oh, listen, I never ridden the Slim's. I never ridden a horse before. Well, she wanted to stop because she was like, oh, I used to ride horses when I was a little girl and blah blah blah. And then they stopped at this funeral or not funeral, stopped at this cemetery. That was actually when they ended up fucking. They stopped at the cemetery because she wanted to see her mom's tombstone, and then when they left it, that's when they had sex. I believe that was when, because I guess her uncle actually killed uh, her mom like by accident or some weird shit, and she's a lawyer. She got him out of jail, and she was like, hey, like you owe me. So that was why he gave them the car, some money, all that shit. And when Slim asked, like, well, what do you mean by he owes you? And it's like, oh, well, I got him out of jail for killing my mom. It's like, damn, so she's got a fucked up family. No wonder she just stays by herself. So anyway, my apology for telling this shit out of order. Like, just going top of the dome. But anyway, So stop there. They fuck whatever. They keep going. And then she wanted to pet the horses and shit. And then Slim was like, yeah, I never ridden a horse. And he's like, fuck it, let's do it right now. She's like, well, let's wait till we get to Cuba. He's like, no, I'm gonna do it right now. I'm thinking like, wait a minute. Now she's telling him like, oh, we ain't got time for that shit. But she's the one that wanted to fucking stop. So they're riding the horses for a little while. Then they get back in the car. They drive for a while. And they kind of make a little pit stop. And she goes in the back seat to take a nap. And so he's like, okay, I'll just stay up while you sleep, and then we can switch or whatever like this. So of course they both end up passing out. And then this black dude that kind of looked like 2 Chainz, but like a little bit heavier, had like a gorilla, all this type of shit. Which I'm like, okay, it's just one black person that they're portraying like that. Which I get, there are black people in the South that wear grills and all that shit. So I'm like, okay. So dude pulls a shotgun out and like taps it on the window and wakes them up. So of course they jump, and he's like, damn, why y'all so jumpy? He's like, motherfucker, you point a fucking gun at what you mean. He's like, hey, well, like, I'm the guy that's supposed to take you to the airplane guy, so, like, come on. And they're like, well, how do we know? How can we trust you? Like, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, shit, like, what other choice do you have? Y'all can either keep sitting here like dumbasses until the cops come get you, or you can roll with me. So they're like, fuck it. So they go with him to his trailer, and the 2 Chainz dude was talking to the airplane guy on the phone, and he gets on the phone, talks to Queen and Slim, is like, yeah, he can come get y'all tomorrow. And they're like, no, we need to leave today. Like, we're not staying here. It's not safe. So he's like, damn. He's like, all right, well, let me call him back. Wooty woo. He talks to him, and they're like, okay, um, we can go ahead and leave in 1 hour. So they're riding. He's driving them to the spot. He's smoking a joint. They asked them if they want to smoke. First they're like, no, and they changed their minds and they're all smoking. They say everything seems cool. I'm like, damn, this looks like this is probably about to end the movie. I'm like, what? I assume that they were either gonna get arrested or get killed. I'm kind of like, well, damn, everything seems to be kind of running smooth, like. So they get there. Dude drops them off, rolls out, right? So they start walking towards the airplane. They're holding hands and shit, and the camera is like, it's looking at them like the camera basically is in front of them, so you can see behind them. And right when 2 Chainz leaves, you see all these cop cars roll up, and I'm like, oh shit. So of course they turn around. They're holding hands the other way, and they're like, get down, we're not gonna tell you again. Even though they told him to get down like a million times, they're like, we're not gonna tell you again. Like, we will open fire, blah blah blah. I'm like, oh fuck. At first I'm thinking like, damn, they should just make a run for it towards that plane. They don't only they weren't that they were only maybe like, I don't know, like 20 yards away, some shit like that. I'm like, fuck, like, y'all probably about to get shot either way. At least, maybe it's a first aid kit in the plane. I don't fucking know, like. So they're just standing there and stuff, and they pretty much confess their love for each other because they end up growing on one another, and she asks him if she could be his legacy, because he talked about that earlier about legacy and what that means to him, and how she wants somebody to basically love her for who she is, like to love her for her pros and her cons, her flaws and her perfections, and her scars, as she put it. And he's like, if I had more time, I would kiss all of your scars. And she's like, yeah, I know you would. And then she's like, can I be your legacy? And he's like, you already are. And right when he says that shit, bam, they fucking shoot her. I'm like, oh shit. So she, of course, drops to the ground. So then he bends down to like kind of hold her or whatever. And now they're telling him to stand up. Oh yeah, and it was a white female cop too that shot the black woman. I'm like, wow, okay. So now they're telling him to get up. So he picks her up and starts walking towards them. And they're like, stop, stop. Of course he doesn't, because he knows that he's fucked. So now they unload on him. They shot her, I think, once in the chest, kills her. They shot probably at least like 5 shots just all in the body on him, and then he drops. They're both dead, right? Now the plane person, I guess he just said that would have been awkward. Like, the pilot or whatever. Like, I don't. So then it cuts to the news, and they're talking about it, and then it shows Slim's dad watching the news, which they had, the FBI was at Slim's house at one point when they were at the car place getting the car fixed. He went and talked to his dad on the phone, but his dad ended up hanging up on him before they could tap the phone or whatever. Because dad was like, "Look, I'm not about to have you hurt my son? Have you tried to find me? You gotta do that on your own. They're like, oh well, we'll arrest you for helping a fugitive or helping a murder or whatever like this. Say, hey, look, you gotta do what you gotta do. I guess they didn't arrest him because you see him. He's at home watching on the news that his son and Queen are dead. Cuts to the white family saying they're sad. Blah 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 blah. And then it cuts to 2 Chainz, and he's counting a whole bunch of money. Now at first I think it's because I just didn't want to believe it. I didn't get it. I mean, it's like one of the things where like I knew what it was, but I didn't want to believe it. You know what I'm saying? So I see the comments, I'm thinking, oh, maybe he's just like he sells drugs, or something like that. It's a kind of black stereotype, black man with grills, sells drugs, so he's just counting his money, because he didn't really know him like that. Because you could kind of hear the news playing in the background, indicating that he was probably watching the news too. But he didn't really seem like that sad. But I'm like, well, he didn't really know him like that anyway, right? But no, what it is he snitched on them. So he told the cops where they were going to be at, right? And the cops paid him. So I'm like, okay, so that's what that was, right? So really, out of all the white folks in that movie, the only real bad white person really was the cop that shot Queen in the leg, and that they shot and killed in self defense. All the other white folks either were just there not doing nothing, or it was the white family that helped them hide for a little while, like it was some kind of underground railroad type of thing, something like this. And yeah, but then the person that inevitably got them killed was a black person who told on the cops. Now, yeah, it was white cops that shot and killed them, but they wouldn't have known when and where they were going to be if that black man didn't say something. So I'm kind of like, okay. I'm like, now I kind of see people talking about why they were mad. My thing was, realistically, I was like, yeah, they're probably not going to make it. But the way that they didn't make it, to me, was kind of bullshit. I'm like, they had to try to balance it out. Where it's like, okay, we got one bad white man, who was being on some racist shit. But then we also got this one bad black man to kind of, even it out. They couldn't just have all the bad people. Not saying that every white person needed to be a bad person, but they couldn't have white people being the only ones that were fucked up. You know what I'm saying? So they had to have at least one black person that clearly was on some coon shit, right? And I'm just like, okay, I see people's problem. Now, overall, for me, I did enjoy the movie as far as, I guess, the adventure of them getting from point A to point B. Outside of a few parts where I'm kind of like, why are they just sitting around right now? Like some of the choices they made, I was kind of, this is kind of stupid. But overall, I thought it was cool. I thought the characters were really cool. The acting was great. I know a lot of us as generational Black Americans kind of have a thing with these British Black folks playing as generational Black Americans, or ADOS, or whatever you want to call us. I normally just say generational Black American, but ADOS, whatever. Because fuck, I just had the man's name in my head. The guy that played Slim, he was in Get Out. He was in Black Panther, stuff like that too. Y'all know him, and then the woman who's kind of a newer actress. So both of them are great actors, but I believe she's British as well. So both of them, they're not generational Black Americans, but they were playing